preacher man. Ain't no light to see. All those plans I made for myself, I got nobody else to lean on.
Welcome to everyone joining us to experience stories of resilience, hope, perseverance, and joy.
Move over to a sport chair, basketball wheelchair.
Category of Best Video are...
We love you guys.
There we go. I got 4 burnouts on the stage right now. 1970 called. They went to junior high school class ringback. Hey, Big Biz Show's on the air. 110 million TV homes strong, 150 radio stations in 175 countries. Welcome to the program. Sully here, Costa there.
Hello.
And the DTC. The Qual. It's really a chore, isn't it, Brian? Just to know every song in the history of songs, right?
No kidding.
Yeah. It's also a burden when you know songs like Precious and Few and Peaches and Herb songs. That would be Mike. Hey, great to have you on today. Jonathan Awde, I think we're going to hear more from him in the months to come. His company, of course, Dakota Gold Corp, we're not even covering a gold company, and we haven't for probably a year and a half now. Jonathan, one of the smartest guys in that space. I like the guy a lot. His company stock symbol DC. Mike, what's the website? DakotaGoldCorp.com? Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
Perfect. Thanks for participating. Jonathan Awde joins us in the program today to talk about a little bit about what's going on in gold. Jonathan, great to have you, bud. How are you?
Great to be here. Thanks very much.
Hey, so let's talk again top down about gold. We saw a banking crisis as a result of the fact that bonds have an inverse relationship to interest rates. No one was watching the wheel on the car as they were going down the freeway at 90 miles an hour and decided, they should have sold the bonds a long time ago. Suddenly we're talking about gold as a hedge against inflation again. You're sort of at the right place at the right time. Talk about Dakota Gold Corp and what's going on with the inflation story, because I think people will be interested from a guy who kind of lives this every single day.
Yeah, so Dakota Gold Corp is focused on revitalizing the Homestake District in South Dakota, in the Black Hills. And this is a historically significant gold district, not just for the U.S., but the planet. This was a mine that produced 40 million ounces of gold. We've been consolidating the district, and we now are the largest landowners in the northern Black Hills. And we made a discovery that we announced last month called Unionville, which was the name of the original claim back in the 1870s. And we've got 4 rigs turning, and it's really exciting to see what's happening here.
So,
and in terms of,
go ahead, continue. I want to hear in terms of inflation and gold what your opinion is.
Yeah, look, obviously I have a bias, but I think that one of the more interesting things that's happened here is you're starting to see, the Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, start to say, look, you should have some allocation to gold, whether it's going from 0 to 5% or 5 to 10%, and you typically don't see that. So gold, I think, has reacted very well. Fed hiked last week. We'll see how many more hikes they have. There's a lot of chatter now about June or September potentially being the first pivot, maybe cut. I think the data is lagging. So I think you're seeing this pattern of economic data coming out, and the next month it gets revised downward. And I think gold has performed very well despite all the noise and chatter. And I think it's a bit of a coiled spring in my opinion.
Well, Jonathan, we talked about this last time. Gold was in favor, and quite in favor, in the year 2013 through, I'm going to say 2018. And suddenly it came out of favor for no good reason. Now, is it an inflation story, or is it just the fact that you guys have had your nose to the grindstone and you're finding real projects? Because that's really what it's all about. I mean, you can pontificate all the time about gold being a hedge against inflation. But if you guys are just down there doing the work and finding mines and gold exploration that actually works, that's probably more important than talking about the economic, political sort of features of gold, correct?
Yeah, I think for a long time, the senior gold producers didn't invest in exploration. So there was such an underinvestment in exploration. So there's a lack of new discoveries being found. So there's a shortage of quality projects in good jurisdictions where rule of law still applies. And the U.S. is one of the best jurisdictions to be exploring and developing. So I think that's part of the challenge is there's just an absence of quality projects that are advanced that you can permit in good jurisdictions around the world.
Jonathan, as far as finding a deposit, is it still needle in a haystack, or how much has the technology advanced being able to find like a vein or some giant deposit out there?
Well, I think a lot of the easier deposits have been found where they're sticking out of the ground and they're outcropping. And now you're seeing a lot of the deposits being found are higher grade underground mines. And that's a bit more of a science where there's a lot of, geophysics, geochemistry that you can do that kind of helps you zero in on where it could be. But then you've got to drill it off. You've got to ultimately get underground. You've got to do metallurgy. You've got to do a bulk sample. So it's every deposit, every geological trend is different. And that's what I think is so unique about this story is that you've got people who have spent their entire lives here that are very good at exploring, at making discoveries, but then also from when the baton gets handed off to go from exploration to development, you've got that skill set here as well.
So, Jonathan, you're obviously poised, timing-wise, you're in the right place. Where do you take it from here? I mean, what does the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months look like for you guys?
So I think, as I mentioned earlier, we made a discovery that we announced last month called Unionville at our Maitland project, which is contiguous with the Homestake mine. We're really excited about what we're seeing on the exploration front at our Maitland and Richmond Hill projects. So I think it's ripe for additional discoveries. What we're looking for now at Maitland is to vector towards Homestake formation, which was the dominant host that was mined, 40 million ounces of gold was mined next door. We've been hitting that. It's mineralized. And now we're starting to vector towards where we think the higher grade, sweet spots are. So our team is very excited about that. And then at our Richmond Hill project, we're drilling underneath where everyone else was drilling. And we're really encouraged by what we're seeing there. So really exciting from the standpoint of converting historical resources at Richmond Hill into compliant ounces. Discovery, and then Maitland, which is in green there, is contiguous with the old mine, and there's two kinds of mineralization. So discovery, and I think the market is still telling you and showing you that it does pay up for stories they think that can have that discovery potential and that commercial aspect embedded in it.
I agree. Wow. And it really is about right place, right time. You guys are there. Jonathan, thanks so much. Can't wait to have you on the air next week. Dakota Gold Corp. They have a publicly traded company. DC is their stock symbol, DC. Go to dakotagoldcorp.com. Jonathan Awde. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you next week. All right. From gold. Mike's been looking for a vein and a deposit since his banker and his phlebotomist. Big Biz Show. See you in a minute.